Welcome back. You are watching KTN News Desk. We're still keeping with the NYS scandal and that grilling session that is ongoing at the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, where the suspended Principal Secretary Lilian Omolo was giving her side of the story. Remember, the Director General of NYS, Richard Dubai, is also expected to appear before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. Currently, they have gone on a break, but our senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Mimo, now joins us live from Parliament to give us an update on just what has been happening the entire morning. Patrick, good afternoon. What is the status of that grilling session currently?
Good afternoon. This particular Parliamentary Accounts Committee of the National Assembly did invite the suspended Principal Secretary for Public Service and Youth Affairs, Lilian Mbogo, together with the Director General of NYS, Richard who appeared before the committee to shed light on that scandal involving the 9 billion shillings. According to them, they maintain that during their tenure, that is in the 2016-2017 financial year, that amount has not been lost. They put figures. They say there's a special audit from the Auditor General, which was carried out. The Auditor General gave them a clean bill of health, and they've said they've been able to pay suppliers of the NYS, and they are, according to them, the money that is being talked of is not. That is a matter that should be left to investigating agencies to go to the bottom of the matter, because according to the PS Lilian, she says that NYS is now operating through the IFMI system, and through that IFMI system, you can be able to trace, to make footprints of whoever withdrew money from that NYS kitty and who was paid, whether it's an individual or companies that were responsible. So she says through the IFMI system, the investigating agencies can go through it and get to know really the companies that were paid and individuals if there was any shady dealings. And when it comes to matters electronic, she says that there is only a single one officer from the NYS who's allowed, been authorized, whom she was authorized through the CBK to be the sole signatory of monies that is being paid through the NYS accounts electronically. So she's trying to distance herself from that story of the loss of 9 billion shillings, together with Richard and Dubai, who is the general, the Director General of NYS. They say that, in fact, they put in place systems to ensure that NYS saves money through that was lost to suppliers. And they've said through the mechanism they've put in place, they've been able to save 2.6 billion shillings, money that was either lost through the direct purchase of uniform that was completely stitched, already stitched from outside. They've said that when it comes to the supply of meat, which is a 4.2 billion shillings tender, they've been able to reduce the money from at least 500 shillings a kilo to 320 shillings a kilo through direct purchase from the Kenya Meat Commission. But they say entrepreneurs are fighting them, especially when they decided to sidestep them and go through KMC Direct. The other aspect they've also put in place is the powder milk. They've been at least been able to save from at least a packet of 25 kilograms of powder milk. That's what the suppliers were selling them at 47,000 shillings. But when they decided to go through new KCC, now that packet is of 25 kgs is retailing at about 12,600 shillings. So they've been able to make at least a saving of 13,000 shillings, which was being schemed by suppliers. So they are saying, despite these efforts, they are being fought by entrepreneurs, and they say they talk about the loss of 9 billion shillings could be corruption fighting back. The other aspect they've also talked about is with regard to the missing 17.5 billion shillings, money that was unaccounted for from the financial year 2014-2015 and 2015-2016. These monies, they say, it's been unaccounted for, and that period they were not in office, and they are blaming it in the former office bearers. At that time we had the PS Peter Mangiti, we had the Cabinet Secretary then was Anne Waiguru, who is now the Governor for Kirinyaga, and also the NYS Director General at that time was Nelson Gedenji. So they are saying the 17.5 billion shillings, these three individuals are the ones who could ably explain on how that money was utilized, but it's not under their purview, because they came into office and ensured that they put in place structures to ensure that money is not lost at the NYS. The other aspect that they've mentioned is that members were concerned that investigating agencies have not been able to surrender those documents in those years, 2014 up to 2016 financial year. And they are saying that members feel that investigating agencies are trying to frustrate the Office of the Auditor General in getting to the bottom, to analyze these particular documents to understand how monies were paid. And this the opinion of the members of the PSC that they'll have to summon these the DCI and EACC officers to come and explain why they have not been able to release these documents to the Office of the Auditor General from the 2014, 2015 and 2015-2016 financial year in order to get to the bottom of the 17.5 billion shillings, unless the officers in these particular institutions are aiding and abetting corruption. So that is what happened here. And also that we've been told that 13 constituencies could not be have not been paid because their circles have not been regularized. So that is what the PS and the DG came before the committee, and they said the reason why they decided to step aside was to allow for independent and objective investigations. And once the investigations are through and they are found not to be culpable, then they can resume their offices. So then what transpired here, Akisa.
So then what did the MPs say? Were these answers that were given by the PS Omolo and the Director General in Dubai, were they satisfactory according to the MPs who are present in that particular committee? And then what happens next?
They have basically absolved themselves from blame on the missing monies, and they say the money that, like the 17.5 billion shillings that is yet to be unaccounted for, and which the Auditor General has been keen to know how it was spent and whether it was value for Kenyans. That money, they say it was not during their tenure, and those documents apparently they are still with the investigating agencies at the EACC and DCI. That's why members are concerned that these investigating agencies could be frustrating the Auditor General, and they want them summoned before the committee to explain why they cannot surrender these documents to the Auditor General to ascertain whether the money was spent or not, and if it was lost, then these particular individuals be held accountable. And remember this particular matter also, we remember there was NYS, some individuals, about 25 members of NYS and the PS Mangiti were arraigned before court, and the anti-corruption court said, acquitted them due to on technicalities, and said that by the time these officers appeared before EACC, it was not legally constituted. So it's a matter that the committee will be looking into to see whether it can be revived and or not. But as far as the two individuals are concerned, that is Lilian Omolo and Dubai, they say they are clean, but that matter is subject to the final report that the committee will be writing and presenting before Parliament later in the year.
Patrick Amimo, senior parliamentary reporter there, joining us live from Parliament with an update on that grilling session on the NYS 9 billion shilling scam probe that happened earlier on in the morning in the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. It's a story that we continue to follow up for you, and in our subsequent bulletins, you'll definitely be getting more details about that probe and the latest developments as far as that is concerned. Let's now